Alright, welcome to Unit 6.10. Don't tell anyone else, but if you made it this far and you complete the mastery check for 6.10, I'll replace a major grade. Because this puts all the factoring together, so it can count as a major grade. Right? It's not going to be so organized. You're going to have to figure out what method works. Right? You're going to have to check for a greatest common factor on every problem. Right? Then you're going to have to see if it's a difference in squares, if it's a basic trinomial, if it's a slip and slide trinomial, or if it's a 4 terms in which you use grouping. You have to figure it out. But if you can figure this out enough to complete it and get the mastery check and pass the mastery check, I'll put 100 in for a major grade. Fair? But again, don't tell other people. Only the people who make it this far get to do this. I don't want them jumping ahead. That's not fair. They won't know how to do it and they'll cheat. Right? Check to see if something factors again. You're going to factor each polynomial completely. You're going to factor until there's nothing left to factor. Right? I'll show you what I mean. Right? First one. Check for greatest common factor. Let's make it bigger. That might be too big. Alright. Both of these can be divided by 7. And they both have a b. So let's take a 7b out and see what happens. That leaves me with 4a squared minus 9. Now ask yourself, can this be factored further? I factored out a 7b, but look what's in here. Look at it. 4 is a perfect square. A squared is a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square. Right? So 7b has already been factored out. 4 is 2 squared. A squared is a times a. And we need a positive 3 and a negative 3 to make that negative 9. Can this be factored any further? I mean, technically, if they wanted it simplified to its smallest form, don't get mad. This isn't required. This is required. I just wanted you to see that if they have a common factor, oh wait, these aren't common factors. One's positive, one's negative. This wouldn't work. I heard you say it. I heard you. You're right. Now they don't have a common factor because one's positive, one's negative. Ooh, it almost caught me. Nice catch. I can hear you screaming at the screen. Alright. Any common factors all the way across? No. But there are 4 terms. That makes me think we're going to have to use grouping. Let's see. XX, XX, YY. So let's do that. X cubed minus 4x plus 2x squared y minus 8y. Let's put the like terms together. X's and y's. Alright, I can factor an x out of here, and it leaves me with x squared minus 4. And I can factor a 2y out of here, and it leaves me with x squared minus 8. Oh, look at that. No, 8 divided by 2. I thought I was going to be wrong for a second. You're right. So if I factor a 2y out of here and here, I'm again left with x squared minus 4. That's how I know I did it right. X plus 2y is what's left. Look at that. Can it be factored any further? There are no common terms, common variables. There are no common numbers. No. That's as factored as we can get right there. When you know you're at the point where it can't be factored anymore, box it up for me. Alright, what do we have? 45W5 and 3 minus 3W. Okay, what can we take out? Both can be divided by 3. Both can be divided by W. Factor out a 3W. And then what do we have left? 15W4 minus 1. Can you factor anything out of that? I don't think you can. I think that's it. That's as far as you can go. Because this is not a perfect square. This would be, and this would be, but this is not a perfect square. So you can't do difference of squares. It's not a trinomial. There's not 4 terms. I think that's as far as you can go. But let me verify that before I lie to you. I don't want to lie to you again. What is this? Number 5? Yeah, that's it. We're good. Alright, what else? Three terms. Is there anything we can factor out? They're all even. They can all be divided by 4. And the highest exponent is x squared. So let's factor out 4x squared. That leaves me with 2x squared minus x minus 6. Now it's a trinomial. It has a coefficient in front of the x squared, so that means we can use the slip and slide, right? So let's slip and slide and see what happens. So if we slip this over here, now we have 4x squared, x squared minus x minus 12. Are there two numbers that can be multiplied together to give you negative 12 and added together to give you negative 1, the invisible 1? Ask yourself. Let's see. 3 times 4 is 12. And if the 4 is negative, it'll give you negative 1, right? Because 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. And 3 plus a negative 4 is negative 1. That's what we needed. So 3 and 4. So now we have 4x squared, x plus 3, x minus 4. No common terms, nothing we can factor out, nothing we can make smaller. Don't forget we slipped and slid, right? Because it was a slip and slide, you got to put it back. We multiplied the 2. We have to go back and put it under there. This one isn't going to simplify, so it goes up here. This one is going to simplify to a 2. So what's left? 4x squared, 2x plus 3, x minus 2. Woo! That's as factored as we're going to be able to get it. And if, like I said, if you ever reach a point where you're not 100% sure, redistribute and see what happens. 4x squared times 2x is 8x cubed times x is 8x to the 4th. So even just doing the first term, here, here, and here, I can already see I'm going to end up here. That gives me pretty good feeling about it being right. Now I could multiply it all the way out, I could distribute it all the way out, but I feel pretty good about it. Just don't forget, if you're doing slip and slide, take a minute and write slip and slide. Why? Because when you're done and you get here, you'll remind yourself to go back and do the slide. If you just do the slip and not the slide, it's going to be wrong. All right, 4 terms, let's group. I mean, they look like they're in a good order to me. X, 5, 5. Let's test it out. We might have to rearrange. Let's test it out and see what we get. I can take x squared from here, and I'm left with x plus 3. And I can take 5 from here. We need it to be a negative 5. If we're going to have a positive x and a positive 3, we need it to be a negative 5. And that's going to leave us with x plus 3. If it hadn't have given us our common binomial, we would have had to rearrange them and try a different method. Right? But it did work out. It did work out. Oh, that's interesting. All right, let's see what we got. Take out the a. We're left with b squared minus 1. Remember, 1 is a perfect square. 1 times 1 is 1. So we can actually use a difference of squares. b plus 1 and b minus 1 is going to give us that b squared minus 1. It's going to give us that difference of squares. Box it. My bad. I feel bad. I feel like I didn't finish because I didn't box it. Both of these can be divided by 6 and a. 6a, which leaves me with 4b plus 5c. Can that be factored anymore? No. That's it. Done and done. Three terms. Anything we can factor out? Yes, they all have an x. X squared minus 10x plus 21. And because we factored out the x, now we have a trinomial, right? We can do the basic factoring. Two numbers that multiply to give us 21 and add together to give us negative 10. What are my 7 and 3 are my factors of 21. 7 and 3. We need them both to be negative or both to be positive to give us 21, positive 21. But to give us negative 10, we need them both to be negative. So, we already took out our x. Now we have a negative 3 and a negative 7. Adding these together will give us our negative 10. Multiplying these together will give us our positive 21. Done. (8m squared plus 2m minus 3). There is no greatest common factor. No numbers in common, no variables in common. But it is 3, and it has a coefficient. So let's try slip and slide. All right? So m squared plus 2m minus 24. Two numbers that multiply to give you negative 24 and add to give you positive 2. 6 times 4 will give you 24. We want one of them to be negative, and we want it to be the smaller number because we want it to end up being positive. Right? So this would give you negative 24, and this would give you positive 2. This is what we needed to do. So we know it's going to be m plus 6 and m minus 4. Common factors. They both have a 5 and an x. Let's take out 5x, and then we'll look at it again and see what we have. We took out 5x. We're left with x squared y minus y. Ah, look at that. They both have a y. So let's go back and adjust. We can take 5xy out. We can take 5xy out. See, as soon as I realized that it was going to be in both terms, I realized it was a common factor and I could pull it out. So I'm going to go back and pull it out. I'm left with x minus 1. That one looked really complicated, but it's actually really easy. Alright, 4 terms. Let's see if they're grouped well, or if we're going to have to maneuver. A, B, B, B. Let's rearrange. Let's flip these around. So let's put the A's next to each other. And then let's put the one that has the B next to the other one that has the B. Let's put our little line just to remind us. All right, we can factor out. Ooh, this is interesting. We'll see if it works. We can factor out an A. And it leaves us with 5A minus 3. And we can factor out a 2 and a B. And it leaves us with 5A minus 3. Look at that, it worked out. I wasn't sure it was going to, but it did. Right? Factor out the common binomial. And then put what's left into the parentheses. Alright, last one I think. No common factors, but it is a trinomial. So let's just do a basic factor and see what happens. Two numbers that multiply together to give you 78 and add together to give you negative 7. 78. What times what is 78? What are my factors of 78? Let's get a calculator and find out. Let's just use one of the good calculators. Alright, calculator. 78 divided by 6 is 13. Why 6? Because I knew that if I divided this by 6, I was going to end up with 3 something, right? Because 6 times 3 is 18. So I did 78 divided by 6, which gave me 13. Those are the exact numbers I need. 13 times 6 is 78. One of them has to be negative. So 13 plus, let's see, negative 13 plus 6 will give us negative 7. That means this one has to be negative. Because the middle is negative, the bigger number is going to be negative. Alright, so we already know it's going to be x minus 13, x plus 6. Just like that. Thank you, calculator. What do you think? This is why, if you're able to do this and then pass the mastery check, I will count it as a major grade, because you have to figure out which method works with which problem. Always start by looking for the greatest common factor. Then figure out whether you're going to do a difference of squares, the basic trinomial, the slip and slide trinomial, or the 4 terms. And then based on which method you use, follow it down. Make sure you end up all the way simplified. Make sure nothing else can be factored out. Good luck.